What up, my fellow humans of the internet? It is me, your buddy Nessa, back at you again, and it is a Friday, which means it is time for another episode of Squared Circle Addicts, and today, for the video, it's going to be a Q&A of all things wrestling, based on the questions that I received from Instagram, Twitter, and my personal Facebook. So first of all, if you're watching this video and you sent in a question, thank you so much for sending in one, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you, and for those of the people that have already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting this channel. And if it's your first time watching me talk to you guys, welcome. And if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and hit those notification buttons. That way, every time I post, you know about it. So, let's get into the questions, shall we? I have my old trusty iPhone 4 here with questions loaded on it for you guys. And yes, this is a Shayna Baszler phone case back when she was in MMA. Custom made. It's kind of like damaged, but it's just old. But I love me some Queen of Spades. But anyway, the first question comes from Instagram from my friend Carlos DeKenna at King Sports 1, and he says, do you think the tag team division, both men and women, would benefit from a merge, meaning, you know, both of the titles being defended on both brands as opposed to having two separate titles for each brand? And my answer to that is yes, just because I think for a long time the tag team division has been lacking in the sense of it doesn't seem like WWE knows what to do with them, and there's so many great tag teams. There's the Usos, there's the Revival, there's Ascension, there's now newly reformed Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, there's the B Team, there's the Hardys, there, the list can go on and on and on. But I feel like, and of course the New Day, Cesaro, and Sheamus, how could I forget the Bar, shame on me. Excuse me, there's so many great tag teams, but I don't necessarily think that they know what to do with them. And I just think, Vince McMahon has always been the guy, not necessarily the one to care about tag team wrestling. And the same thing goes with the women, and that's why there's been a lot of criticism about the women's tag titles, because a lot of them are like, if they don't know how to handle the men's division, what makes you think they're going to handle the women's division properly? And based on what I've read on dirt sheets and stuff, it's being said that the women's division titles, tag team titles, will be defended amongst all brands, like a co-branded thing. And again, I think they should do the same thing with the men, just because it gives us the opportunity to see amazing matches. Like, I don't know, the Usos versus the Revival are like, the B Team versus the Bar, stuff like that. I think, the more matches that we can get like that, the more unpredictability it'll have, and then it'll be like, it'll have meaning and merit to the division, as opposed to just like, oh, here's, two sets of titles, one on Raw, one on SmackDown, but we don't necessarily know what we're doing with it. So, yes, I definitely think the tag team division could benefit from merging the tag team titles. The second question I have for you guys is, or not for you guys, for me I should say, is from my buddy Brandon Teague. He's Teague the Irish Hammer on Instagram. His question is, do you think we are going to get Becky Lynch versus Stephanie McMahon at SummerSlam? By the looks of it, yes, I think that's exactly what we're going to get, or some type of Becky versus Authority storyline. I mean, she already slapped the head off of Stephanie McMahon, and she already slapped the head off of Triple H, and maybe this Monday she'll slap the head off of Vince McMahon. That would be freaking fantastic. I definitely do think we're going to get it, especially with the reports that I have been reading, that is slated for SummerSlam. And I know people are like, oh, there goes Stephanie again, like putting her, like, nose in where it doesn't belong and trying to get on a wrestling match and whatever. But I think, the WWE is clearly trying to recreate the Austin versus McMahon storyline. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack because a lot of people don't like the comparisons between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Becky Lynch. Because honestly, I don't really know how I feel about it either. Because to me, Becky Lynch is the first Becky Lynch. She isn't the second anybody. But at the same time, I do understand where people are drawing those comparisons from. And if WWE picks up on those comparisons, and if they are really going to go with, recycling a storyline, if you will, I definitely do think we are going to get that, obviously, with Becky Lynch going over, in my opinion. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't even happen at SummerSlam. Maybe it happens at WrestleMania. And I know you're probably thinking, what do you mean? I don't know. I had this thought of, what if Becky pulls double duty at, I just realized I don't have my glasses on. I look so weird. Why don't I have my glasses on? Where did my glasses go? Oh, that's right. I took them off because I had to take off my jacket. They're here now. Trusty glasses. I don't know what I was doing. I just look weird without my glasses, in my opinion, so please excuse me. I'm going to put these bad boys back on so I can see properly. There you go. Much better. There you are, Nessa. And so, like, I don't necessarily know, like I said, if it's going to happen at SummerSlam. Maybe it happens at WrestleMania. Maybe Becky pulls double duty. Because I was just thinking, what if they do to Becky what they did to Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30? Like, in order to be at the main event of WrestleMania, you have to earn your way still. And, defeat Stephanie or maybe defeat Charlotte. I don't know. That was just my thought. I kind of threw it out there randomly on Twitter. Whether or not it's going to happen, who knows. But I definitely think at some point we will see Becky Lynch versus Stephanie McMahon. But when it happens, I guess only time will tell. So that's that for that question. The third question is from Twitter, and the account that sent in this question. It's a really interesting question, by the way, so thank you for this one. But their account is Next Up NXT, and their question was, if I had a title, how would I hold the title, and what story would it tell? Kind of like how Tommaso Ciampa holds his title, like cradling it like the newborn baby. So how would I hold my title, and what story would it tell? This is going to be a really cheesy answer, but I would wear it around my waist simply because I feel like that's how titles are meant to be worn. And as an old school WWE fan, and as someone who has been a wrestling fan since they were 4 years old, and for someone who can't physically wrestle because of her disability, I feel like if I did ever have a championship, I would wear it around my waist to be like, I'm a real wrestler. Like, I finally freaking made it, and I am a person who embodies what a professional wrestler should be. And although, nobody thought I would make it here, I made it here. So here I am, and this belt around my waist shows that I am worthy of something. So it's a simple answer, but that's what I got for you. The fourth question comes from another Twitter user, Queen's Army for Life, by the way. I love your handle. I've known you for quite some time, so thank you for sending in this question. Her question is, name one ending to a match that you would do over, like a match that you thought was okay, aside from the ending. And this is probably the most simple question on here for me. Not simple as in it was a bad question, but simple as in I don't even have to think about it. It would easily be Mickie James versus Lita from Survivor Series of 2005 when Lita had her retirement match. Simply because Lita lost to Mickie James, and then after that match, Crime Time proceeded to come out and have a wholesale, because back then Lita was the heel and she was a hoe because she was being promiscuous with Edge and all this bullshit. And so they came out and they had underwears and they had Preparation H and they were giving it away to fans and people were laughing about it. And I remember at the time I was younger, so I was not too much younger, but I was still in the phase of I cheer for faces, I boo heels. So at the time, I was upset that Lita was a heel. I hated it. I hated her being a heel. But on the other side, my heart, growing up with Lita and Lita being my favorite wrestler, like, I absolutely hated that this was happening. Like, Trish Stratus got an amazing send-off at Unforgiven. It was amazing, but then Lita's was more of a laughingstock. In fact, I've seen interviews in the past where Lita talks about how she really didn't want that to happen, and she was trying to convince the higher-ups to end the match differently. And I remember, I think she said something like, the way it ended, it left a bad taste in her mouth, and she was still really upset about it, and rightfully so, because I hated it too. So that's easily something I would change. Obviously, I would change it to Lita going over and winning her last match. And even if she didn't go over, I would have much rather had it without the whole embarrassing wholesale moment, because I just thought it was stupid. So there's that. Let's see. Next question. My phone won't turn on. Okay, so the next question is from my really, really good friend, my co-author, my buddy, So Muro. And her question is, what is my dream match? This one, again, is also very easy. Don't even have to think about it. My dream match, 100%, is Bayley versus Lita, just because those are my two favorite wrestlers of all time. Lita's my past favorite wrestler. Bayley's my current favorite wrestler. Bayley grew up idolizing Lita. I grew up idolizing Lita. I love Bayley. I know that she really wanted to work with Lita at the Royal Rumble, but unfortunately, Lita was already eliminated by the time Bayley went out there, so she didn't really get to interact with her. And I know that that match would mean a great deal to Bayley and also a great deal to Lita, and it would just kind of tear me apart, to see two of my favorite wrestlers going at it at each other, and it would just be a beautiful moment. And it's definitely something I hope to see. We got to see them tag together, so now we need to see them wrestle each other, so I can lose my mind. The next question. Sorry guys, I'm like really winded today, and I don't even know why. The next question is from Justin Alexandri. Sorry, I butchered your name. He asked me this on Facebook, and he asked me, who do I think should replace Roman Reigns as the face of the company? I have two answers for this one, because I couldn't really decide who I wanted to go with, and I know some of you are probably going to laugh at my answer, but my two answers are Finn Balor and Becky Lynch. Finn Balor because he's a phenomenal wrestler. He's been busting his ass off, cutting his teeth on the indie scene, and then, he made it to WWE. He was the inaugural WWE Universal Champion, and then since then, he's kind of, been thrown into meaningless storylines, if you will, but he's a workhorse to his core, and he's over, and he knows that, and he jokes about it all the time on social media and stuff like that, and he has the whole Balor Club thing going for him. He's a nice guy. He has a charity where, he talks about equality and happiness and peace, and he does a lot of, help with, homeless youth and things like that, and, he's an ally for the LGBTQ community, and all of these reasons are why I think he should be the face, because he just embodies what WWE tries to stand for, or at least says what they stand for in the inclusiveness of everyone. So definitely Finn Balor. And then I say Becky Lynch because obvious reasons. She's the biggest thing in WWE right now. Because of her, merch sales have, increased. Because of her, the stock has gone higher and it's been better for the company. And, there's been, countless interviews with her saying, people would complain about having to do, morning talk show interviews and news interviews and radio interviews and all this stuff. And, because, they were beat, they never got any sleep. But she says time and time again, this is what I want, this is what I have wanted. Let me do that. If you don't want to do that, let me do that. And I think that anybody who has that attitude, anybody that's I'm willing to do anything and everything, if you watch, or if you watched her interview with Charlie Caruso, leading up to the Royal Rumble, she talks about how when she was down in NXT, she was a rosebud because she wanted so desperately to just do something, and everybody else was complaining like, oh, I don't want to do this, like, I don't want to be a rosebud. But she took that with stride and was like, screw it, I'll be a rosebud, screw it, I'll be a, river dancing Irish, you know what I mean? Like, she took everything that they gave her and ran with it and tried to make it mean something. So for that reason, I also think it could be Becky. Maybe we could have two faces of the company, Finn Balor and Becky. I mean, Finn trained Becky, they know each other. I don't know. If you wanted to do a face male wise and a face woman wise, that's what I would choose. I can't necessarily choose between the two because I honestly think both of those are great choices. So I'm just gonna say both of them. Okay, so the next question. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Now my phone's not opening. This thing is so old. The next question is from Matthew Ward on Facebook, and his question was, what do I think would be a better storyline for Becky Lynch going forward from WrestleMania? Her versus the Authority, or not her, but the Four Horsewomen versus the Four Horsewomen. And this answer is 100% going to come off as completely biased, and I know that 100%. And I know some of you watching this video, you're like, oh, I already know what you're going to choose. Definitely Four Horsewomen versus Four Horsewomen, just because it's something that has been, teased for a really long time, since the very first Mae Young Classic, when Shayna was in it, and Bayley and Becky and Charlotte were watching, and they all threw up the fours. We've been seeing teases of it recently when, Becky came out to challenge Ronda at WrestleMania, and she did it to Bayley, and Bayley did it back to her. We saw it at the Royal Rumble in the match between Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey. Sasha threw up the four, and that was it. And it's just like, I need to see it, guys. I need to see it because, truthfully, and I know I might get some flack for this in the comments or whatever, but I love all 8 women, wholeheartedly. I love both versions of the Four Horsewomen, whether or not you believe, the MMA Four Horsewomen had it first, or that the WWE Four Horsewomen had it first. To me, honestly, at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. Just because, like I said, I love all 8 of them, and it would be a case of favorite wrestlers versus favorite wrestlers, so I would be happier either way, and it would just be something that would make me go crazy, and for that alone, is something I want to see. So that would be my answer for that question. The next one is a multiple part question, and it is from my buddy Trevor Decker. You could follow him at on Twitter, I should say, at Trevor Decker News, where he covers everything from wrestling to music to TV to movies, everything in between. So if you're into that, definitely give him a follow. His question is thoughts on All Elite Wrestling being in talks with big names in the company, like big names within WWE. And then the second part question is, how do I feel about Kenny Omega signing with All Elite Wrestling? And then his third question is, how do I feel about The Undertaker removing all WWE references from his social media accounts? So the first part of the question is, or I should say my first answer to the first part of the question is, I think it's awesome that AEW might be in talks with bigger stars. I know some of the names that have been thrown out there are like Randy Orton and the Usos. And you know what? If these talents are unhappy in the WWE, but if it's not about money for them and if it's just purely about wrestling, then who am I to say that, they shouldn't go to All Elite Wrestling? And I definitely think that if, Cody and company picks up these guys, it's going to be huge, because then, there's already going to be, those major names within the company that, because let's be honest here, the WWE is the mainstream of professional wrestling, so I feel like a lot of casual wrestling fans only know WWE, but if they see guys like Randy Orton and the Usos going to All Elite Wrestling, people might be like, what's the deal with All Elite Wrestling? What's this all about? And then therefore that'll have them, want to check it out, and that already generates, a buzz, and it generates eyes, and so I definitely think it's pretty cool. Whether or not, AEW is going to be an actual threat to the WWE remains to be seen, but to be completely honest, they could be if they continue to sign the major talents that they have been signing. So we'll see. We'll see how that benefits them, or if it's not going to benefit them. I guess only time will tell. The second part of the question is, how do I feel about Kenny Omega signing with AEW, or if I was surprised that it happened? Definitely not surprised. I know a lot of people were talking about, the cleaner coming to the WWE, and, being in the Royal Rumble, and I honestly never thought it would happen. I was like, oh, maybe, because, we never thought AJ Styles would be in the WWE, but here we are. But I just didn't really see Kenny jumping ship. I know he has a loyalty to Cody and the Young Bucks, and even the Young Bucks tweeted it out, like, we couldn't do this without our longtime friend, Kenny Omega. So I'm definitely not surprised. Like I like to say, like my friends like to say, loyalty is everything, and I think that goes across the board with the AEW guys, the All Elite guys. So definitely not surprised there. The third part to his question is, how do I feel about The Undertaker, removing all WWE references from his social media? I don't know if it's just a case of him having, like, almost an identity crisis, in the sense of he doesn't just want to be The Undertaker, he wants to be normal Mark Calloway, because he is a person, and I'm sure he wants to be known for something more. Or I don't know if it's him being upset, because I did read reports on Dirt Sheets that he was upset that there hadn't been talks for him to have a match at WrestleMania, and which is weird, because we get The Undertaker every year at WrestleMania, and usually by now we would have an idea of who he's facing, but nothing has happened thus far. So I don't know if it's a real gripe, or like I said, if it's, him just wanting to remove himself from that because he's more than just The Undertaker. Quite frankly, though, I don't really think it matters much, but maybe I think people might be reading into it a little bit too much. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he's retiring. Maybe he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I guess only time will tell. So there's that question. Let's see. What else do I have here? Number 9 from my buddy Will Marach on Facebook. By the way, I don't know if I just said your last name right, because I don't really know how to say it, because you've never told me. But he asked me, how long do I think the Becky Lynch hype will last, because everything must come to an end and nothing lasts forever. And I know you asked me this question on purpose, because I know your views on Becky Lynch, and I know you're not too behind her, which is fine, so I'm laughing that you asked me this question. But I think that it's not going to die down anytime soon. I think Becky is going over at WrestleMania. I stand by that 100%. And if she doesn't go over and Ronda Rousey wins, or, retains her championship, I think fans are going to be pissed. And I legit think that they might start throwing trash in the ring. Like, that's how crazy I think it is right now. I think Becky Lynch has this power over the fans, in the sense of, like, how could you not root for her, and how could you not want her to win with her whole, story and her climb to where she had to get to, especially with the rumors of, her versus Stephanie happening at SummerSlam. That's not till the summer. So I definitely don't think it's going to die down anytime soon, unless fans become fickle and they start getting tired of it, because honestly, that's the only thing that's going to kill her momentum. But I definitely think that her fans are very loyal, and I think that if they continue to be as vocal as they've been, I definitely don't think it will die down anytime soon, because guess what? The WWE is all about money, and quite frankly, right now, she is making them a lot of money. So I don't think that's going to die down anytime soon. I think we're going to be on the Becky Lynch train for a really long time, and I am 100% okay with that. I'm on board, all aboard that train. I'll hop on that train any day. But so that was that. And the very last question, oh no, wait. Oh yes, this is the very last question, is from my buddy Adrian Lara over there on Facebook. His question is, do you think we will see Undertaker at WrestleMania? If we do, who would you have him face? Again, as alluded to earlier, I'm quite surprised that they haven't hinted at anything for Undertaker just yet. But I think that if we do indeed get a match with him at WrestleMania, if it was up to me, I would do The Undertaker versus Finn Balor, the dead man versus the demon, because I just think it would be amazing. It would be like, just their entrances alone would be amazing, because, you know, Finn Balor has went on record to saying that, you know, he got inspiration for his entrance from The Undertaker, and The Undertaker actually helped him with it. So I just think that alone makes for a good story, because they're both like these two characters that are kind of like mysterious and dark. Especially, that is if, you know, we do ever see the demon again. And again, like I just said, like on a marquee, like the dead man versus the demon, like it just sounds freaking cool. And I think, you know, as hard as Finn has been working, I think he does deserve a match of that magnitude. So if it was up to me, I would pick Finn Balor. Yeah, Undertaker versus Finn Balor. So yeah, that is all the questions for today. So thank you guys for sending them in. And if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comments below. Do you want me to do more Q&A videos? Because I enjoyed these questions. At first I was a little worried because truthfully I wasn't receiving a lot of questions. But then like literally today, last minute, they started flowing in. So I was like, alright man, we're doing this. So again, thank you guys for watching. And like I said in the beginning, if you like what I had to say, please subscribe and turn on those notifications. And if you want to know what else I'm up to outside of wrestling, or if you just appreciate my wrestling commentary, be sure to follow me on my personal Instagram at GreatLove91. It's the same thing for Instagram. Did I say personal Instagram? I meant to say personal Twitter. It's the same thing on Instagram. So yeah, guys, take care, be safe, but most importantly, stay happy and stay addicted to the Squared Circle. Love you guys.